Okay. This is time for Ring of Fire to spill the tea. Emmy has been dying.
Scalding hot.
It's scalding hot. Emmy has literally been dying to talk about this.
Guys. Like,
so this is her opportunity.
Right. Okay.
Welcome to Emmy's Rants.
I'm going to make this mostly conversational.
Yeah.
Are you aware of VBAC Facts, VBAC Link, and some of the other like big names in like birth in general, like Doctor Midwife or the birth nurse, those kind of people?
I know Doctor Midwife. I did not know any of those VBAC people before that happened.
Okay.
But now I know that VBAC Link stole content from midwife Malik.
Yes. Okay, cool. So
That's
you kind of
okay.
have bases.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give everyone the rundown of the players.
Love it.
Almost like Guardians of the Galaxy style, where it's like, I'm going to tell you who everyone is.
Perfect.
So, and I think it's really fascinating because I told my dad forever ago that I was like, I'm going to be a VBAC doula, and I want to be like creating one day like a conference for all these VBAC people to come to. And he's like, there's VBAC influencers? And I'm like, yes, there is.
Yeah.
That should tell you how much this is not a niche birth thing, that it's actually a majority. But
well, if our C-section rate or cesarean rate in America is like over 30%.
Correct.
There's plenty of people who may be great candidates for VBACs and interested in doing that.
Yeah, fun fact, only 22% of people who are VBAC candidates go for a VBAC.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Anyway, just a fun little
well,
tidbit.
that once a cesarean, always a cesarean, like, talk is still so prominent.
It is. So, the big players. One I mentioned earlier during this episode, and, like, if you guys didn't watch it, there was a VBAC episode, just in case if you, like, cut this all by itself.
We'll figure out how we cut it.
Right. So, the very biggest one is VBAC Facts. Jen Campbell, she's been around for 14 plus years. She herself was a VBAC mom who ran into a lot of issues in California and was like, this is bullshit. We should have more access. So she ended up going the true, like, advocate, like, activist place. She started a blog. She ended up creating an organization that now meets with politicians to get more access for VBAC and, like, for midwives and making sure the education is out there.
So, like, true advocacy for it.
True advocacy. Yeah. She has a blog. She has an organization that teaches professionals, like, the whole 9 yards.
And that's who you're swooning over.
All the time. Always. Always. When I first started, like, the very first DM I ever sent, I followed her first. And I sent her a thing of, like, I really admire you. I hope one day I make you proud.
That's
and
so sweet.
Just her, like, hearting my DM. I was like, oh my God, she noticed me.
Oh, that's so cute.
So, I made her very proud this last week. So, she's a huge deal, and it's because she's not only doing the work on, like, ground level, she's making sure legislation comes through. The next big player that is in here is VBAC Facts, VBAC Link. VBAC Link is an organization. It was started by 2 doulas out of the state of Utah. Essentially, they each had VBACs. One actually had a VBAC after 2 cesareans, and one had a home birth. And their names are Jen and Megan. And they're lovely people, but essentially they started a blog / like podcast where they listen to people tell their VBAC stories, and I would put them at, like, wine mom content. Right?
Yeah, it's like, making it more palatable.
Very palatable.
Yeah.
Very easily shared. You'll probably see a lot of their stuff on, like, Pinterest or even on people's stuff that are learning about VBAC initially, because it's so easy to consume their stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So why... The last person I should mention is Midwife Malik. Midwife Malik has been a doula for, like, 15-ish years and then became a midwife. And she primarily works with the Black community because she's Black. And then also was a huge advocate for the VBAC communities And she's the one who came up with the terming of tolerant versus friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And that was originally her content that she pushed out, that ICANN and many of these organizations ended up being like, can we use this? And she said,
Yeah.
yes, as long as no one profits from it.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to flash forward. VBAC Link comes up on the scene. They see this friendly versus tolerant,
Yeah.
which is a super, I mean, like, for content creation, it is like the most palatable, easy way to put across to someone, like, this, not
Which
that.
it's literally like a chart. This
Right.
is what they'll say if they're friendly. This is what they'll say if they're tolerant, right?
Correct.
Is that what
Yes.
we're talking about? Okay.
Yes, and it was very simple. And this was shared back in 2006.
Okay.
I mean, to give context, VBAC had hit being like fully okie dokie in 2004.
Okay.
So we're talking only 2 years after ACOG was like, yeah, that can be a thing again.
Midwife Malik released or started talking and that
Yeah.
using those terms.
Right.
Yeah.
So VBAC Link came up in about 2015, and ended up making verbatim their own version of it, where they ripped all the information off of it and just threw a color over top.
Made it look different, slightly.
They made it more palatable,
Yeah.
like they do. And when she reached out, when Midwife Malik reached out, said, please don't reshare my content because you're profiting off of it.
Yeah.
They said, okay, we'll credit you. And she's like, that's not exactly what I meant, but okay.
Yeah.
And it was a null issue because they went ahead and
credited her after the fact.
Correct. So we're going to pause on their story. Then in 2020, VBAC Facts saw that VBAC Link came up with their own subpage for their website called VBAC Facts Learn Everything.
Yeah.
Purposely using the SEO that Jen had created in order to direct traffic towards them.
Which, if anybody doesn't know, that means search engine optimization.
So if I type in VBAC Facts,
Yeah.
suddenly VBAC Link will come up.
Yeah.
And it's purposeful. It was...
It's very interesting in a small community to do stuff like that and expect people to not notice, right? If we were in a bigger community and birth workers weren't so small and the VBAC community wasn't small, like, people may have never noticed that kind of
Correct.
thing. But to do it in such a small, tight-knit community is wild.
So Jen sent over a thing of like, please change the SEO.
Yeah.
Like, I've worked in this space with this name. Like, it's very obviously targeted.
Yeah.
It ended up broiling up inside of VBAC Link's different... They have 3 separate Facebook groups. One for doulas that have gone through their training, one for birthers, and ones who have had CBACs.
Okay.
So a cesarean after a cesarean
Yeah.
to give them support. In all 3 of those, they would delete comments or questions about this thing going on with VBAC Facts.
It's always a bad sign if you have to be deleting comments on that. Nothing makes you look guiltier on the internet than deleting comments of people calling you out.
So
Just always a bad sign.
this is literally at the same time I just certified with them, and I was
Yeah.
the first in Arizona to certified with VBAC Link.
Yeah.
And I assume maybe something went on in the background.
Yeah.
That they sorted it out, and that's why it was being deleted, because they're like, no, we don't need
We're
anyone.
done talking about this.
You're
Yeah.
right. Like, we figured it out with Jen, that kind of thing. What did she say?
For real. Damn, this is spicy.
Right? It is.
very
It is.
spicy.
So, why this all blew up again?
Yeah.
One, VBAC Link never removed VBAC Facts from their SEO. They still have the page that states, and I remember exactly verbatim what it is, VBAC Facts, the truth about VBAC.
Yeah.
So that's still on their website. That is still a thing that they're doing.
Is it still right now?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So they doubled down instead of
Correct.
saying,
And they
"We
said
did
that you
something
can't
wrong."
own VBAC Facts,
Yeah.
even though she has a trademark on that, because they added on the truth about VBAC.
all
So that's...
that bull
It's gross. It's just gross.
bureaucracy
Right.
stuff. But they know they're in the wrong kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. It's gross. Why it blew up this week, though, is because they have a individual who's running their social media who ended up reposting their original Tolerant versus Friendly that did not give credit.
Yeah.
Midwife Malik saw it and ended up messaging them with like, hey, you guys didn't credit me again.
Yeah.
This time I'm asking for financial like repercussions. Essentially, you guys need to pay me for this.
For using this content. Yeah.
They ended up private messaging her, essentially with like, we're happy to sort this out, all of this. And when she was like, I need money, they're like, well, we didn't make any money off of this thing. And she's like, you made that's bullshit, because it helps further your name. It helps like encourage people that you know what you're talking about. Like, it
has people take your training. It makes you look like you are an authority in the community.
Correct. And it's information that you did not compile. It is not anything that you created. So it's time to pay up, right? So they blocked her.
Of course.
They blocked her, and both of the heads of the organization spoke to her, and she posted those DMs very fully and like showing off what they stated. Jen from VBAC Facts sees this happening because she's also a huge advocate for the Black community. She does a ton of work, again, as an activist.
And as you should, if you see white people profiting and stealing things from the Black community, you should be outspoken about it.
So Midwife Malik has about 1,000 followers. VBAC Facts has quite a few more. And she was like, not on my watch.
Yeah.
So she made a ton of posts about like, VBAC Link is added again. Like, integrity, guys. Like, we gotta do better. Yeah. And that's how I discovered this whole scenario going on. Was VBAC Facts posted about it, and I was like, that's weird. So I investigated further, and I felt sick to my stomach. Yeah. Because of what I said. I had trained through VBAC Link. I really pride myself on trying to be a better human and a better ally. And I was like, I never even heard of Midlife Malik. I've interacted with this content so much. I had made my own version, and I was like, oh no, oops. Oh no, oh no. Like, no, I have to fix this, right? Yeah. So the very first thing I did is I reposted it to my own stories of like, hey, VBAC Link, now's our chance to do better. Yeah. I immediately got unfollowed and then was kicked out of a private group chat.
Love it.
Yeah. Where we were all in it together as the duelists so we could like each other's content. Yeah. Then they ended up shutting down where anyone could tag them because they were getting so much calling out, accountability asks, right? And that's really what it is. People were asking them to be accountable.
Take accountability,
They were not. Yeah. And instead they decided to go dark. Yeah. 8 days after they went dark.
Bad idea. It's just funny to hear this because this is like 101, what you do not do when you're being called out. Like, you do not run away, you do not go dark, you do not make excuses, you do not make half-ass apologies, you don't, turn off your comments and run away. Like, that's a bad sign.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm just...
No bueno.
Continue.
No bueno.
She says spicy. It is spicy.
It is. And I even made sure that I wasn't kicked out of the Facebook group. Yeah. I'm not. I might be soon.
After we release this, maybe it's over.
So I already dug my grave.
And Emmy already made an awesome reel,
I dug my grave. I dug my grave.
With an Elmo audio.
So, VBAC Link ended up coming out with this apology, which, if you guys don't know the term white woman tears, please look it up, because it was the epitome of white woman tears. Essentially, like, we didn't mean any harm. It's not our fault. It was someone else's fault. Also, everyone's bullying us, and can't we all just love each other? Excuse me? What part of that was accountability? And they were like, people are questioning our integrity, and that's unfair. I don't think it's unfair anymore, Jen and Megan. Don't think it's unfair.
I don't.
Don't think it's unfair anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's what ended up happening, and it was it was devastating to me because I think the best way for me to sum it up is the Tyra Banks like meme of
I was rooting for you.
we were all rooting for you. Like that's what I was hoping for them, and unfortunately I don't think they were able to step out of their own pride and their understanding of their whiteness, or even like what was being asked of them.
Yeah.
To truly come forward with a true apology, or even recognize the harm that they were doing to the communities, or, you know, fucking stealing content from a black midwife during fucking Black History Month.
Come on. Yeah.
Like, I can maybe write off the stuff that you did with VBAC Facts. Like, I get that has some, like...
But again, it's and I always talk about this, when you make those choices, you're opening yourself up to, like, further criticism and for people to call back this stuff and look deeper into what you're sharing, right? You kind of open yourself up to that, you know?
Correct. So they are still untaggable.
Yeah.
They are still limiting who comments what.
Yeah.
I've actually made a friend down in Tucson now because I saw what they commented, and it was this very sneaky, like, no, you guys did wrong. But it was very sneakily written, and the only reason it's not deleted, I swear, is because it could be read two ways.
Yeah.
And so here's what I ended up doing that ultimately got me, like, fully ixnayed. I created a reel of that Elmo thing of like, hi friends, hello Rocco.
Yeah.
And I made it because, to me, if I wasn't able to speak to them directly, if I wasn't able to, like, make my opinion clear, especially becoming a larger organization, that's my hope, is for this to grow bigger and for things to be different, then I couldn't sit and watch it happen, and I couldn't not say something. So that's why I created that reel. It did way better than I thought. I was seriously shaking, guys, posting it, because I was like, this is the moment.
Our poor Hufflepuff was so afraid of confrontation.
It's so funny because I'm not, but it was that, like, fuck. Like, at the moment I post this, it's going to be very clear. I've drawn a line in the sand, and but
it was the right line in the sand.
It was the correct line, but there's still intimidation there, right? Yeah. And I think it's really easy to talk smack versus, like, truly calling someone out, right? Yeah. Because this is much easier to talk about in this kind of space rather than, like, publicly the way that I did. Yeah. So it picked up traction. VBAC Facts reshared it. Dr. Midwife ended up resharing it. Dr. Midwife and VBAC Facts each received a DM from Beyonce being like, I hope VBAC Link does the right thing.
Okay. I thought that was fake. I thought it was like a meme, you know, where, like, Beyonce says, do this.
Right.
That's when I was like, what is this? But
I mean,
it was a real thing.
If the Queen Bee came out to say something about the VBAC world, you're fucking up. You're fucking up, and you're fucking up hard. Like,
and I would love to know what you think they're gonna do, because the typical white woman response, right, is to ghost. You'll go dark for a couple months and then slowly start popping back up.
They've already done it. They're already doing it. They're already doing it. And here's the thing that drives me nuts about VBAC Link. And this is the part where it starts to leave a place of me being like, this is about the issue, and then, like, a personal issue. Yeah. VBAC Link has been on hiatus for over a year now. They have not produced episodes. VBAC Link hasn't been producing content. They've been resharing other people's stories
and, like, old content.
And their old content. Yeah. That's why they ended up in this problem. So why the fuck wouldn't you just do the thing?
Apologize. Pay for using someone else's content.
Right. Like, that's a quicker, cleaner way. Yeah. Especially when, truth be told, you're fucking dying. Yeah.
Well, and again, it always makes it worse when you don't take accountability for it. And that's mostly what people want. And we've talked about this before, the difference between, like, cancel culture and transformative justice, right? It's very different, right? No one wants to cancel you. You let yourself be canceled by not taking accountability for the things you did that were wrong. Yeah. You know? So, that sucks.
Yeah. So, that's all of that and the bag of chips, and unfortunately they're still selling their courses even though they're not going to support you as a VBAC doula. Like I'm not even like talking shady, but like they haven't been inside of those groups. They do update their courses as it goes along, and they find out new information. We'll see if it's actually credited.
Yeah.
Or sourced. Yeah. But that's why I said in
are they learning that new information from the doulas who took their course and are now supporting VBACers, you know?
So I highly encourage people now to be very careful of who they're consuming content from and why, right? And I get why VBAC Link is attractive, right? And it's what I said. They made Wine Mom or like consumable VBAC like content. It made you feel good.
Yeah. Maybe we as a whole should be trying to find things that are a little less palatable. Maybe we shouldn't be upset when content makes us uncomfortable.
I agree. I totally agree.
And like especially what people who don't look like us and don't have the same life experiences as us are sharing, you know?
Correct. And so in that post that I did of like calling them out, I made sure to tag my friends that I've made over the years that have their own VBAC story podcast, because that's really the hole that needs to be filled. Yeah. You want to hear some great stories? Go to these other people.
There's other
VBAC
options
Babes
to do that.
And VBAC Birth Stories. They're incredible. So go listen to them. Yeah. And they don't have this problematic behavior. And you'll feel better after you listen to that rather than being like, I mean, they're bad, but I kind of like the nice story. Like,
there's other places to get that.
Correct. Yeah. So just be aware. Just be super aware. Yeah. And if you come across a piece of content where you're like, where did this come from? Research it, because it's important. Especially, that's a lesson that I learned. Now in all of my classes, I have Midwife Malik credited and sourced as a part of that, along with some other ones that I've come across that I was like, oh, I thought that was like public. Never mind. Yeah. Now I'm crediting that doula.
You know better. You're learning. You're doing better, right? Instead of just doubling down on like, nope, I'm in the right and I didn't do anything wrong.
Right. And for sure. For sure. And I'm not saying like I'm the same level, but hey, it's really easy to reshare like a cropped whatever on Instagram. Just don't.
I mean, not now. You can only see reels.
That's true. But be aware, guys, of like what you're intaking, and also like who you choose to do your trainings through. Yeah. Which is stuff we've talked about. So,
we need a whole episode on that.
I think so. Well, thank you for letting me have this like story time. The only other thing, it's totally talking shit, and we'll cut this part. Okay. Fun thing that happened.
I can just stop the recording if you want.
Cool. They'll never know.
I'm going to leave them on the edge of their seat. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
That was Emmy the Birth Wizard.